Yeah, welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. We're continuing to assess the circumstances that led to the Guyana Olympic Association, GOA, and the National Sports Commission, NSC, deciding to no longer recognize the Dwayne Scott-led Guyana Amateur Swimming Association. On Tuesday, SportsMax Zone, President of the Guyana Olympic Association, Godfrey Monroe, spoke on dissolving their partnership with GASA after 2 years of attempting to mediate differences. Mr. Monroe trying to explain what triggered their latest move.
Well, we felt that this issue, there was no attempt to try to address it. And I think the question, as you asked in the last meeting, what prompted our decision was that I think it was a rehash of the same position. Mr. Scott deviating from the facts, not seeming willing to undertake a position to bring a resolution to the issue. The same old rehashing of the position in terms of not engaging with the subject in terms of those allegations that were brought to. And I think when we met with him initially, there was an acceptance that these issues were indeed real positions as brought by the members of the fraternity.
Yeah, a joint statement was issued on Monday by the GOA and the NSC after alleged indiscretions and shortcomings by GASA. Joining us now is Mr. Dwayne Scott, Guyana Amateur Swimming Association President, to share his perspective on the matter. Mr. Scott, who joins us via phone, by the way, good afternoon and welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Some rather damning allegations placed at the foot of your organization, biased selection processes, exclusion from competitive swimming, nepotism, refusal to accept clubs as members of GASA when they have met the requirements to be so, unresponsiveness from the executive of your body, heavy-handed and unfair treatment by your organization, unconstitutional actions and financial misconduct by the executive of GASA. And that is coming out of the joint statement that was made by the GOA and NSC on Monday. How do you respond to all of these allegations, Mr. Scott?
Good night, team SportsMax. Quite frankly, these situations are based on perspectives. I can assure you that whatever decisions are taken by GASA as a body are in keeping with the Constitution and the rulings or guidelines provided to us by World Aquatics. And it's not a unilateral position by the executive, but rather we have a council, and a council who vote based on information provided to them. I suppose the situation as it stands can be based on, as I said, perspective on what your position is if you're not willing to listen to the information or read the information that is provided to you. It's unfortunate that the position that was taken by the minister and the GOA is where it is. GASA by itself cannot pronounce on that. We have not been officially written by the GOA or by the ministry. There was a meeting and there was a public statement which were not issued on any of the websites. As a matter of fact, it was a news publication to which we were learned the situation. To be quite fair with you, I don't know if that's the way we go about doing things, but I believe that in fair principle, if you're supposed to take a position, the position should be drafted and issued prior to the media. And that is not the case. I mean, if you go to the GOA website, you would not see anything of such nature.
Yes, so Mr. Scott, let me just get this straight here. You are saying up to this day in sport, which is September 12, 2024, you have not received official written communication from the Guyana Olympic Association or the NSC, and that the ruling that they put down on Monday was not sent to you directly, but you found out about it in a media publication. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
What has been the action, if any at all, taken by your organization, given what you are suggesting to us here? How have you dealt with the matter over the last 2 days?
Our first position is to reach out to our governing body, or international governing body, which is World Aquatics. We have shared with them the information that we have in the media, the position of both institutions, the government and the GOA. We have shared with them that position, and we would ask for a meeting to be convened to discuss the matter for further engagement with both parties, for clarity on the situation. And that's as best as we can do at this point.
Yeah, and you know, Dwayne, when we interviewed Mr. Godfrey on the SportsMax Zone, one of the things I got from that interview is that, you know, he and his body had made all arrangements to mediate with you and your team, and they would have tried to the point where they felt as if they exhausted all those options, and it's as if you were not willing to come to some sort of resolution. What do you have to say to that?
So, again, principles based on perspectives. Whatever position that GASA would have taken would have been in keeping with World Aquatics. Whatever situation we are confronted with as a body, we have first put it to World Aquatics for advice. We have never sought the advice of the GOA or the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport on any issue because our governing body is World Aquatics. And so we would first reach out to World Aquatics to advise us on how to deal with the issues at hand. And as far as I can recall, we are still in good standing with World Aquatics. And as a matter of fact, you can reach out to World Aquatics for clarity on that. For the last 4 years, Guyana would have been a recipient of the OASC funding consistently. And the full tranche of what is required to be released to us has been released because we have met all criteria, including with the submission of all expenses and, as a matter of fact, the submission of an audited financial statement. And so if, in fact, we are in contravention of ruling, I suppose the person who can say to us, more importantly, how this falls would be the governing body for the world. And subsequently, I presume that once you have the right people in the room, you're allowed to have the discussion. My position is quite simple. And in fact, our position is quite simple. Once we have the right people in the room with the right temperament and we're able to navigate through the circumstances, I'm quite sure we will come to a resolution.
Yeah, Mr. Scott, just to get this clear again, right? Do you believe that the Guyana Olympic Association / the NSC, because the release was a joint one on Monday, have the power to sanction you in the way they have? And in addition to that, do you believe that the sanction is constitutional?
To be fair with you, it's based on opinion and perspective. My belief is irrelevant. What is in the Constitution is what matters. If you look to the Olympic Association Constitution and if you look to the NSC Code of Ethics, if for any reason we have breached that, then in all fairness we should be. At this point, I don't think we have breached it. And as a matter of fact, I think the paramount documentation that we follow would be that of the World Aquatics. And so being, you know, in fairness to GASA, this statement was made in May prior to now, what you've seen. Okay. But we had at least at the Olympics from Guyana that were swimming, we had 2 athletes and a coach that were represented. If you look to your records correctly, you will recognize that there was a statement made in May quite similar to that which is made now. So I'm not quite sure what the position is. My opinion is irrelevant. The facts is what will speak.
Yeah, I just have one more thing that I need clarifying because, of course, I'm listening to all the different sides. You know, we're trying to come to some sort of understanding as to what's taking place. We spoke to the GOA boss, as we told you before. We're now speaking to you so we get both sides of what really happened. And one that also stood out for me, Dwayne, is the situation involving Delroy Tyrell. What really transpired with that? Of course, from your perspective.
Let me be very clear with you. Yeah. There are some parts of this matter that I chose not to discuss. The reality as it stands is that World Aquatics would have made a ruling on this matter. all the way back in July of 2023. And GASA's position was resolute with this matter, with the ruling of World Aquatics. We cannot question the ruling of World Aquatics. The situation with Mr. Tyrrell is Mr. Tyrrell participated as an athlete for Trinidad and Tobago. And as a result of that, World Aquatics has specific ruling for nationality to change. And we have to comply with that. I can assure you that there have been communication to Mr. Tyrrell, and GASA was copied on that communication, clearly indicating World Aquatics' position on Mr. Tyrrell. And it is not a GASA position. GASA do not make a decision on that. GASA is guided by World Aquatics. So I think the fairest thing for Mr. Tyrrell to do is to reach out to World Aquatics to get his guidance on the matter. And it's not by somebody who he would have spoken to that is not an authority figure on the matter, but to the official individual or group that is responsible for this, and he will be adequately informed. And I believe he is inadequately informed.
Yeah, so you're suggesting that suggestions that you deliberately try to mislead the GOA and I guess the NSC and the swimming public as it relates to this Tyrrell issue are not true.
I have never misled anyone. The matter started with a communication from World Aquatics, and the matter will finish with a communication from World Aquatics, and that's where I rested. The ruling body on this matter, the principle on this matter is World Aquatics. GASA cannot determine whether somebody is eligible or not. We still have to get, listen, every event or swim meet, major swim meet that occurs in the region or the world, you can look to the summons and the specifics that are laid out in that. And one of the criteria are residency for at minimum 12 months.
Yeah, but Mr. Scott...
And as a matter of fact, if you would have participated for another nation, the rule will have to go towards the constitution of World Aquatics on this matter.
Yeah, but Mr. Scott, there was a newspaper report,
yes,
I think in
yes,
Kiter News, that quoted Tyrrell's dad as suggesting that there was an agreement from GASA to pursue the switch of allegiance, and that was more than a year. That was more than a year ago, and the report is suggesting that there was no clear submission from GASA to have the switching of allegiance, even a year after GASA had agreed to do so. So the inference is that GASA did not pursue or carry out the wishes of the young swimmer to have his allegiance switched, and not, as you are suggesting, that it was rebutted or was not entertained by World Aquatics.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. It was not entertained by World Aquatics. So the reality is there are certain material that must be provided.
Yeah, but Tyrrell's dad had suggested that World Aquatics said to him that the submission was not properly done and it should be resubmitted, suggesting that they would be willing to accommodate the switching of allegiance, but GASA didn't do what they were supposed to do. That was what the report said.
GASA can only submit what is provided to us by Mr. Tyrrell himself. GASA cannot create or manufacture anything. There are certain material that must be provided by Mr. Tyrrell himself. If he would have done whatever he would have provided to us, would have been provided to World Aquatics. Again, GASA do not adjudicate over this matter. The matter is adjudicated over by World Aquatics. And as I said, we would have engaged World Aquatics, and I'm quite sure you will hear a lot more about that in coming months about how this should be addressed from World Aquatics. To guide everyone involved on the appropriate matter, on the appropriate manner to address this issue. So the accusation that has been placed at the feet of GASA, it's all fair for everyone to make accusations and assumptions based on the limited information that they have. The principles on this would be World Aquatics, and we have to prove to World Aquatics that whatever is being said by us, one, is factual, two, is real.
Yeah, Mr. Scott, we have to leave it there. We have to leave it there. Apologies, Mr. Scott, but we really do have to leave it there for today. This matter will not end here, though. We will continue to track this story, and I'm very sure that we will speak again. But as you can well appreciate, we have to rush off because we have Caribbean Premier League cricket coming up, and we want to head to that very shortly. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll speak again on this matter. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, Lance, Mariah.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, we have to go. We really don't have time. So, viewers, I hope you enjoyed the CPL action, and we'll be back in your company tomorrow.